Sony moving away from physical discs starting 2028, and it has been a nuclear bomb that has dropped on the video game industry. Now, Celestium and Maria, I would like to get y'all's take on this. Good move or bad news, or is this just something that was just gonna happen eventually?
So I was gonna say, yeah, this is like a super huge L, but I was telling my friends in chat the other day, like all of this is just a matter of when, not if. And I like to go a little conspiracy theory, but I don't want to go too hard. It's just like the push towards digital like currency and the NWO and all that other good stuff, you know?
Yes.
Me and my husband have a large retro video game collection, so I would be very heartbroken if we can't collect any new games together. It's a matter of being able to change media as well, because if it's purely digital, they can just change it whenever they want, add whatever, they can take it back, they can, you don't really own it.
Great point, and we're going to get to that. Here, this article from IGN says the gaming industry is not responding well to the news that PlayStation will stop producing game discs in 2028. I think that's an understatement. The response on social media has been, like a nuclear bomb going off, except from Asmongold. Asmongold had an interesting take on this, and we're going to get two different, very different sides of this argument very quickly. Asmongold's kind of like, big deal. Here you go. Listen.
There's a lot of people on the internet that care a lot about physical media, and they care so much about it that they never buy it. And any of these people that are talking about how much they love video games and buying video games, I want you to show me the last 10 video games you bought. I want you to show me the box that you bought them in.
So his thought is like, yeah, people are making much to do about nothing in this situation. This is kind of a hot take. I know a lot of people are, Kick tweeted this out, says Asmongold spitting facts about physical media here. Phoenix, I would love to hear your thoughts on this when it comes to this take.
Well, I mean, I think it's just what was the number? I think Sony had said that 85% of its user base was digital. So Asmongold, I don't actually agree with what he's saying. I think physical media people love physical media. They're the kind of people that absolutely are doing that. They can easily show you their library of games they just got. It's like someone had even said, like, yeah, okay, show me some physical movies that you've done. I've just bought several of them last night. So physical media people are always doing that. How he looks right to some is just the fact that it's only like 15% in that PlayStation ecosystem have physical. It's an odd take. Let's put it this way. If he thinks that people who are pro-physical are just saying that, he's dead wrong. That is a following of people who love physical items and who love collecting.
So he followed up to this post because he was like, people are maybe out of context or cut odd, right? He says, long post, sorry. The fixation around physical media is a red herring. People who obtained physical copies of Crimson Desert early weren't able to play it because the PlayStation 5 locked them out from playing it. You could look this up. Multiple articles on the topic. Clearly, physical media didn't save you then, and it won't save you when a licensing agreement expires and a game will no longer run on the software until you download an update that might remove features / content. A good example of this, ironically, is Mixtape, because the game has a large amount of licensed music. It's plausible that one of those contracts will expire and a patch will be pushed out that removes the song from the game. If you don't download that patch, you'll no longer be able to access or play the game. Physical media isn't the holy grail. Consumer rights and protection is. Why aren't we using Apple Lightning cables and we using USB-C instead? It's not because of Apple, it's because the EU. While PC players have more workarounds on this issue, console players are at the mercy of the updates that have no choice but to accept. Physical media won't save you from that. The convenience of digital downloads should not be viewed as a forfeit of consumer protections. I actually do agree with what he's saying right here as far as...
Yeah, that just wasn't his point before, though. I mean, he's making other points now.
It's a 20-second clip, so this actually makes considerably more sense. The reason why record labels still sell vinyl is because people still buy vinyls. While there are, I'm sure, a good number of people who still purchase video games physically, I would guess that number is decreasing every year, which we have seen statistically that is the case. If physical copies were popular, GameStop would still have video games in it instead of Funko Pops and t-shirts. I know this is an unpopular take to have, but you can't expect companies to make physical editions of games if not enough people are buying them. My point with all this is that a lot of people's concern and frustration comes from the lack of control they have over the media they quote-unquote own. Physical media does not solve this problem when it's at the mercy of the software running the consoles and game launchers. If you want to stop the problem, you should be supporting initiatives like Stop Killing Games. right there. That's a more sensible take than what's the last physical game you bought? Well, I'll tell you, let's move on to Louis Rossmann here. The one thing that you heard over and over again is that when you buy something, you don't own it, then piracy isn't stealing, right? That's kind of the phrase that you hear over and over again. If I don't really own this thing, am I really actually pirating something because I don't actually own it, right? Louis Rossmann, a couple days ago, actually released a video about this. This was before this happened, before this was announced by Sony, but it did have something to do with Sony. Just a few days ago, Sony delisted 500 movies from their streaming service, which people actually owned. And he goes into this. I want to watch, this is not, I don't want to watch the whole video, but I want to watch about 5 minutes of this because he does bring up some really interesting points, which I wanted to get y'all's reaction to.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Welcome to today's episode of How You Getting Fucked. I'm your host, Louis Rossmann. Remember the video that I did about 3 years ago? Sony steals customers' purchase content, piracy is completely justified. That video was referring to a message that many people got from Sony. As of December 31st, 2023, due to our content licensing arrangements with content providers, you will no longer be able to watch any of your previously purchased Discovery content, and the content will be removed from your video library. We sincerely thank you for your continued support. They're not saying that you're not going to be able to watch content on Netflix, where you're paying a monthly fee to be able to access and stream what they have. They said that what you had purchased, that's in your library, has been taken away from you. Imagine if you went to Barnes & Noble and you bought a bunch of books.
Before he gets to the analogy, he was talking about movies in the situation. Take movies out, replace it with video games, right? Whatever content agreement, whatever license agreement there is, flip it. Take it to other forms of media. Take it to music. Take it to whatever sort of entertainment that you like to consume. Go from movies to whatever it is that you like. As long as it's digital, that's where we're at.
That's in your library has been taken away from you. Imagine if you went to Barnes & Noble and you bought a bunch of books, and 5 or 10 years later, you walked into your house and you walked into the room that all your books were in, and you noticed that a bunch of them were missing from your bookshelf because Barnes & Noble took them back. But they never gave you a refund. That's not okay. And that's exactly what they did over here. The reason that they were doing this is because they didn't actually own the content that they were making available to you. Sony does not own the films and shows it sold to the store. Sony licenses them from the studios that produce them and has no ownership of that content. So let's get this straight. I have a house. Let's say I sell my house for $500,000 to you. Let's say 5 years later, somebody comes by and just takes the house from you and doesn't give you the money back, and the original owner doesn't give you the money back, and the reason they give is, well, that's actually my house and the person who sold it to you had no right to sell it to you. In that arc of a story, how did somebody not commit a crime? Here, there was no crime committed. They were able to use the word purchase to describe what they were selling you. They didn't say until page 26 in their terms of service, use of the terms own, ownership, purchase, sale, sold.
So this is where things get messy, where they start redefining words. By the way, his analogy of like only having an entire bunch of bookshelves and then Barnes & Noble being like, yeah, we're just going to take that back. That's totally valid. And the thing here that he says, you didn't even get a refund on the situation.
Technically, though, that's the problem. Like, technically, it's more like you, back in the day when you were at Blockbuster, it's more that you essentially rented something and then they decide to take it back. Because the agreement, unfortunately, is that you don't actually own it, which is stupid. I'm not justifying it. I'm saying that's the actual legal loophole.
They need to change the verbiage of this, which is what they're literally doing here. We're getting to a point to where like this manipulation of language, it's so legalese and so corporate and so disgusting and messy. You know, you have like the use of the term ownership implies this, right? This idea that you can say words that everybody knows. You bought this. Well, did you actually buy it?
You didn't.
You're right. You're a man. Well, are you really a man? You know, like this weird part of society where people are just redefining words that have been used forever, and we're just supposed to accept this. Like that's really messed up to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what words don't mean anything anymore. It can be whatever you want it to be. It's the same thing that the Rainbow Mafia likes to do, like redefining words all the time.
Sell, rent, or buy in this agreement or in connection with the content does not mean or imply any transfer of ownership of any content, data, or software, or any intellectual property rights, and they've actually done it again. So originally, they took it back. About a few days later, they said, due to updated licensing arrangements, the Discovery content removal plans is no longer occurring. We appreciate your ongoing support and feedback. It looked like they changed their minds. And yeah, LOL, JK.
This is probably my favorite part of this whole thing here. He points out one glaring flaw with this PlayStation Store.
This is a message that many people got and have emailed me. As of September 1st, 2026, due to our content licensing arrangements, you will no longer be able to watch any of your previously purchased Studio Canal content, and the content will be removed from your video library. Thank you, PlayStation Store. Play has no limits, even if the definition of own does. No limits, my balls, asshole. You guys have limited the definitions of the word sale, sold, purchase, own. There's nothing that PlayStation does more than limit. I want you to think about what these companies have gotten mad about for the longest period of time. What they've gotten mad at is not piracy, it's copyright infringement. It's when you go onto BitTorrent or Usenet or Emule or an IRC DDC bot or SoulSeek and you download a copy of something from somebody else. I can't make a copy of this for myself because apparently I don't really own it. But they can make a copy of something that they don't own and sell it to me and take it away from me later. And that's okay. How is that any better than piracy? They're claiming that when you make a digital copy of this and you give it to somebody because you did not own the rights to it, that's bad. But they're allowed to sell something that they don't own the rights to, and then they're allowed to take it back from you. When you download a copy of a movie off of BitTorrent, the person that you downloaded it from has not profited from this. In my opinion, that is less immoral than what Sony did, because not only is Sony distributing something that does not belong to them, they are doing it for money. There's a reason that I say piracy is completely justified, because none of this makes any sense. You're not allowed to sell things that don't belong to you with the word sale, sold, or purchase. Like, just imagine this for a moment. Imagine that you have a library. My dad had a room in our house. It wasn't a real library, but he called it the library. It had four bookshelves of all the books that he had been collecting since he was a kid. Imagine you buy a book, and then 5 years later, that book that you purchased from Barnes & Noble is no longer there because somebody broke into your house and took it away. And imagine Barnes & Noble said, oh, LOL, sorry, we didn't actually have the rights to sell that to you, so we had to take it back. And then you say, well, A, you broke into my house, but forget about that for a moment. Can you give me my money back? And they say, no. Piracy is completely justified at this point.
So let's stop there. Everything digital. Larger question. Very moral question here. Is piracy justified if you don't truly own it?
No.
No.
Because again, like, I'm going strictly legalese here. Okay, you know, like, I'm not saying morally or anything like that, and I'm not a lawyer, so I could be wrong. You know, beat me up, please, if I got something wrong here. Sony pays X amount of money to, in effect, sell you this, what equates to a rental. They legally signed the thing, gave the money. They are allowed to do it for X amount of time. You, unfortunately, we all do. We read this 40 pages of things that you now agree to, which I don't know how that's legal, but it's legal apparently. And so now they would have the right to take that away from you. You pirating something is breaking the law because you have not paid for anything. You've not paid for any item whatsoever. I just need to be clear. I'm not saying morally or anything like that. I'm just saying legally does not stand in a court of law.
Okay. Let me just say this. Phoenix owns a movie. I don't own the movie. I'll go to Phoenix's house. Right? Is Phoenix sharing that movie? We watched that movie together. Phoenix, I don't own that movie, but I'm watching it with you. I didn't buy it. Am I technically pirating that movie because I don't own it, but I'm also able to view it. You know, like, that's kind of where my brain is going with this. Like, this is like a very slippery slope. It's the same idea, like bringing it back to the games perspective. Previously, you know, you have a game, you share a game, you trade games, whatever, right? Now, that's literally not going to be possible with the PlayStation 6 or Xbox, the next Xbox Helix or whatever it's called. I think that's what has people up in arms when it comes to this.
Totally get it. 100%
I think
get it.
that maybe something we can add in here is, like, in your example, Craig, well, it's kind of local. It's not like you're going to be putting it on a website where thousands and thousands of people can go download it. I think it becomes an issue when more and more people start to get, like, access to it. And it's not just a situation where you're just going to, like, your friend's house to go view it. Like, I think that's a little bit different.
Okay, how about this? I rent out a theater and I say, anybody who wants to come and hang out and watch this movie for absolutely free can do it. I fill up a theater full of 300 people and we watch Terminator 2 for the first time. No money is exchanging hands. But the only money exchanging hands is between that and the theater. Is that illegal?
I'm reading it. Apparently. So if I buy a DVD, Craig, you come over, you can watch it, or I lend it to you allowed. If I then, from what I'm reading real quick, if I were to put it in a public space, I need a license I need a public license.
Okay. Let's say I own the theater. I own the theater. It is my private theater that I have that just happens to have 300 seats in it.
Like a
okay?
home theater?
Sure. Well, let's just say I own it. Let's say I'm a business owner and I own an actual movie theater. Right? That generally for the point of, and I'm making this messy on purpose because this is why these are things that you, right? Let's just say I own an 8 theater movie complex, right? All 8 of those I sell tickets for, but one of those is connected to my house, and it's technically part of my house from a zoning perspective. And every Sunday, I invite everybody to come over to my house for free and watch a movie. It's private property. While still, I don't know. You see where I'm going to this? It's
Right,
it's
I think I'm
messy.
So
messy.
it's
Complicated.
saying that from what I'm reading, again, I am not a lawyer. From what I'm reading, any gathering, if you are gathering people, let me see here. I can actually even just read this to you. You want me to just read
Sure.
it very fast?
Yeah.
Okay. You're only allowed to show the movie in a private space to a normal circle of friends and family. Showing a movie to the general public or at a gathering where strangers are invited, such as a large community room, a park, or a business, etc., requires a paid public performance license. So I think that would still require a license.
Okay, take a step back. Go back to what you said about normal friends and what was it?
You're only allowed to show the movie in a private space to a normal circle of friends and family. I can't even believe in legalese that's even allowed.
Who's legally normal?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, they don't define it.
I would
What if
say
I have a bunch of
everybody-
cripple friends? They're not normal.
Good point. Good point.
It's illegal to show crippled movies without a license.
Unbelievable. You need the cripple license to show them
The crip
Superman
license.
2. Yeah. I don't even want to get into the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2. That'd be ridiculous. Anyways, so I would say what is normal? We're straight. We have thousands of people watching us right now. Thousands of people are going to listen to our show on a day-to-day basis. I consider many of them to be friends. Is that a normal relationship in the year 2026? What does that mean? Once again, lots of gray here. Is that piracy? If I invite everybody from our show who watches our show, or is this a normal relationship in 2026? What's the issue?
I was just looking at it, and it's incredible how vague it is. So I just asked it, legally define a normal gathering of friends. And it's a lot. I'm just going to read like the first paragraph. Under U.S. copyright law, a normal circle of family and friends and its social acquaintances is not defined by an exact number of people, but rather by the nature of the relationships and the types of venue where the movie is shown. The phrase comes directly from blah, blah, blah code, which states that a performance becomes a restricted public performance if it occurs where a substantial number of persons outside of the normal social circle are gathered. I can't believe that something that vague can actually be legal. That's
It's
vague.
so they can abuse the law later when it's not convenient for them anymore. They'll just exploit it.
I go to a public park. I set up one of those big blow-up theater things, right? I put Terminator 2. I keep going back because it's
Craig, I
35
think you're
years
thinking
old.
too hard. What if you're a family man who has 20 kids?
True.
I think
But
you just stop it there. I mean, like, I might not allowed to show it to my family that want to watch their Disney movie.
Right? Once again, I just go back to this public park thing. I start showing it. And I say, hey, we're going to be in this public park. If you want to come watch it, cool. You're all my friends, right? Is that normal? Will I get shut down because of that? I get a new movie that came out today. Hey, why don't you all come watch this in Central Park or whatever? I don't know. It's the first park that came to mind from a public facing perspective. 15,000 people show up. Just saying,
Okay,
what's the
like,
rules?
appears that would
realistically,
be-
you wouldn't have 15,000 friends. And look, if you don't invite Mom Donnie, I think that he'll shut it down real fast.
All right, well, we can go through it. Like it's slippery. I think that's the whole idea. Of what
Oh,
we're
it
getting at
really
here, right?
is. Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Speaking of legal, PlayStation is currently facing multiple lawsuits alleging PlayStation Store operates an illegal monopoly here. Okay, where more legal stuff, and I think there's going to be more.
And I just want to quickly derail again. I've mentioned this before, and I'm sorry. It's on topic, though. The thing that I've never understood, and I've looked at the storefront page. It'll make sense in a second. You buy a game, purchase this digital game, or whatever. You buy a game in general. Now you play the game. You've opened the seal. You've unwrapped it. All this other stuff. You play it. You're now greeted with a agreement that was nowhere. It didn't say on the box anywhere. I've looked. It didn't say anywhere on the box. By the way, when you're gonna have to agree in order to play this on the digital storefront page. I saw nothing that said that. And so then it'll go like, you need to agree to all these terms of services or you cannot play the game. I have no idea how that's legal. Absolutely no, because you haven't even agreed to anything yet. You bought the thing. Now you should, in theory, own the thing. But now it's telling you, oh, by the way, now that you've opened it and can't return it, by the way, in order to play it, you do have to say yes to this thing. But that I don't understand.
Could you imagine if when we went to Toys R Us, KB Toys, Target, Walmart, whatever, and I went to go buy Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past to play on my Super Nintendo, and I went to go play it. But before I bought it, I had to sign a giant terms of service agreement by Nintendo or Target before I could actually buy the game or play the game.
And how is a 9-year-old allowed to legally bind himself to him or herself to something? I also don't understand that.
Yes, many questions. But what is not a question, obviously the sentiment online has been one thing, but from a stock perspective, it's actually been the exact opposite for Sony, as stock rose more than 3% after the company announced it would stop releasing new PlayStation games on physical discs starting January 2028. Apparently, investors see it as a move, Sony, to increase profits, which it probably will, because the margins on a physical game not as high as people think they are. When I owned a game store, we had a game store called Game Attack. As a local game store owner, we would buy new games that sold for $60. We would buy them for $55 a piece. How many of those games did you have to buy to actually make any money? I mean, that's such a small margin, it's ridiculous. That's just from a game store perspective. That's not from a printing it disc perspective, a booklet, instruction booklet perspective, cover art perspective, plastic case perspective, everything that goes into it. That's why used games are such big business for mom and pop stores, GameStop, whatever, right? I don't know, man. This is one of those things that I think Eric says this really well. Says the immediate reaction is not indicative of the prevailing sentiment. New investors may buy in, but the real tell is how the stocks move over the next few months in the lead up to GTA 6. Keep an eye on Take-Two stock, which that will go to the moon because they're about to sell several $1 billion worth of games in the first week or so. So probably weekend of it. So
I kind of say, as a complete side note, I guess we also now have been confirmed that PlayStation 6 is coming in 2028. I think it's pretty clear that that's when that's coming out.
And how many will you buy?
I don't know. I'm not thrilled with. I've listen. I boycott everything. I'm not much into the consumer, right? Like I just so many fights one can fight. But no, I don't know. I think this is going to be an interesting place because you figure those consoles, which it seems like I've been proven wrong. I was like, that consoles will never be 1,000. It's looking like it might be. And when you look at that and there's you're being anti-consumer to those people who supported you through the years and not even supply an add-on, just the DVD drive add-on is basically a very big fuck you to those who stood by that brand through the test of time, through the ups and downs, and you're not even giving them that for even just backwards compatibility. Okay, you're not making new stuff, fine, but you're not even going to give them the support of that whole library they bought? I don't know. Like, that makes me a little unhappy with the company.
hit that subscribe button right here and watch another video right here.